In this video, I am talking through 5 money habits that I did not build until my 30s, but they are habits that allowed me to turn around my financial life. Now, as a financial counselor who is confident about my finances, who has a 6-figure net worth, and who stresses a lot less about money, I want to share these habits with you. So let's jump right in. Number 1, pay yourself first. This is the concept of prioritizing you and future you anytime money hits your bank account. This means when money goes into your account, you're immediately taking some of that and putting it towards savings and investments. In my 20s, I would get paid and then I'd immediately use it to pay my rent, my bills, and anything else I needed for life, which meant I was paying for my current me expenses. I also had debt that I was paying off, like student loans and credit card debt. So that was me paying into past expenses. Paying yourself first means also putting aside money for future you. So it's really a simple concept, but people seem to struggle with this, especially when money feels tight. At least I did. I couldn't fathom how I would have enough to pay the rent if I paid myself first. Obviously, I didn't want to miss a payment and not have a place to live. But the goal is to start small. And I would argue that even more important than the amount, the dollar figure that you're saving, what you're doing is building a future habit. Because even if money is tight right now, think about that next raise, that next promotion, that next new job that pays you a lot more. You're gonna already have this habit of paying yourself first, and then you can increase the amount. So for me, I started doing this by setting up a direct deposit. I had a consistent 9-to-5, I had a W-2 income, and my employer would direct deposit my checks into my bank account. Now, I found out that my company allowed us to direct deposit into multiple accounts. So what I did was I set up a direct deposit into a savings account as well. I started with $50 a paycheck. I got paid bi-weekly, so that was about $100-ish a month. When I started to realize that I didn't really miss that $50 in my day-to-day living and expenses, I could still do everything, I decided to increase it. And then I increased it anytime I got a pay raise. Eventually, I was saving $300 per paycheck, which is $600 a month. Now, I don't want you to freak out and feel like that's impossible given your own expenses. Maybe your rent costs a lot. Maybe your job doesn't pay a lot. The goal is to start with an amount that you won't miss. If that's $10, so be it. Just know that building this habit is gonna allow you to consistently pay yourself, not just now, but from now until the day you die. And if you can build up this habit for any time money comes your way, then you're gonna set yourself up for a successful financial future. Number 2, the next habit I built in my 30s is spending with intention. Spending with intention can be called a lot of things, especially if you listen to other personal finance experts. Sometimes they call it conscious spending or money mindfulness or even values-based spending. You can call it what you want. For me, what I'm doing is I am being clear in my own head about why I'm making a purchase before I dish out any money. So we often end up spending mindlessly, out of habit, or before we even think about whether or not a purchase is going to benefit us. On the surface, you might be like, obviously, a new pair of heels or a new sweatshirt is going to benefit me. I'm going to be able to wear it and it's going to be nice. It's going to be a nice feeling. But when I say to spend with intention, it's really sitting with that initial thought. Yes, you're going to have this new thing, but why exactly is it going to be of value to your life? Are there any alternatives that can bring value in your life without spending that amount of money? Or is this truly the thing that is going to do it for you now, and not just that quick instant gratification, but also something that's going to provide value to you over time? Now, it doesn't have to be this like 10-minute debate in your head, but making sure that you are conscious and mindful about every purchase you make is going to help you keep a lot more dollars in your pocket. The thing is, as humans, we're obviously bound to make purchases that don't pan out. We buy something, it breaks, it doesn't work, we can't return it anymore, we can't sell it because no one wants it, And that's a normal part of life. The key here is to simply have an idea of what you value before you buy it, because then the likelihood is higher that it provides some value, some utility, some joy into your life. Apparently, according to Google, we make 35,000 decisions every day. So it's very easy to make these spending decisions without thinking, like we're often running on autopilot. But what I want you to know is because money is such a critical part of our lives, it's gonna be tough to build wealth, especially with limited resources, if you're not intentional with your spending. All right, moving on to number 3, another money habit that I incorporated in my 30s, and this is a very practical one, but it's reviewing subscriptions. So I was once guilty of keeping subscriptions that I never used. Now, even if you're not the type to do that, I actually still think it's a good practice to intentionally audit your expenses, especially your recurring charges like subscriptions. So you might already budget and review your expenses from time to time, but what I'm talking about is really setting aside time to audit your recurring expenses, because those are the things that can really break your bank because they're ongoing. You're paying for them until you're not. So one thing you can do is sit down once a quarter and look at which expenses you pay on a monthly basis. Decide whether or not it's something that is absolutely necessary, if it's something you want to keep or cancel, or maybe it's something you can even put on pause. I think this automatically makes you think of TV subscriptions like Netflix and HBO Max. And yes, that's included. But also don't forget to check your subscriptions on your iPhone or Google Play or any standalone accounts. For me, reviewing my recurring charges like subscriptions has really helped me cut out unnecessary, mindless spend. So in a way, this is very much tied to number 2, which I just talked about, which was spending with intention. Number 4, another habit I started doing in my 30s is regular decluttering. Now, you might not think this is a money habit, but about once a quarter, I'll go through my house and I'll make it a point to get rid of at least 100 things. So getting rid of things includes throwing them away, selling them, gifting them, or donating them. Now, before you're like, what the hell? That's a lot of things. I don't even have 100 things in my apartment. Well, obviously, if you're a minimalist or you already have a small confined space and you don't have a lot of junk or items, then you might not need to do 100. You might not have that many things to get rid of, in which case pick a smaller number. Another thing is those 100 things can include pieces of paper, mail that I no longer need, worn out clothes, old makeup that I don't use, and anything else you can think of. When you do this, you'll be amazed to see how many things you actually bring into the home. Sometimes it's not even stuff you pay for. It's just other clutter that you bring home from an event or bring home from work. Now, how is decluttering a good money habit? Well, I think it helps with my finances in 2 primary ways. Number 1, it makes me more conscious of what I spend money on or bring into my house. Like I said, sometimes we don't notice the things we bring home and then it just creates clutter. Seeing all of these items makes me less likely to rebuy things that I felt I didn't use or that I ended up just throwing away. And number 2, this practice also reminds me of what I do have and what I don't end up throwing away. For example, a majority of my clothes. I like doing this practice especially before I go shopping because I'm reminded of all of the items I already have, and that tells me what I don't need to buy when I go to the store. Like, I don't need another black tank top. I have 20. I just end up only using 2 of them and I forget about the other 18. So when I do this practice, I see the other 18 and then it makes me remember to use them. And I'm less likely to buy another one when I go to the mall. And all that means more money saved in my pocket. All right, quick intermission before the last money habit on the list. For those new here, my name is Lissa Prudencio. I'm an accredited financial counselor, and my goal is to help make wealth more inclusive for women of color. Please, please, please subscribe and hit like on this video. It's gonna really help out my channel. All right, last thing on the list. Number 5, a habit that I started in my 30s that really helps my finances is setting calendar reminders. I track everything that might impact my wallet on my calendar. So here are just a couple of examples. I put reminders to cancel free trials before they get charged. If I sign up for a free trial, I am putting a reminder to make sure I cancel it before that first charge date. I set reminders to keep or cancel a hotel reservation before it's too late to cancel. Sometimes when we plan trips, we have all intentions to go on that trip, but then something happens. We get sick, there's a family emergency, and we have to cancel it. A hotel is one of those that, for the most part, unless you prepay it, you typically have an out. So I just give myself a quick reminder to check in, hey, should you keep or cancel this right before the final cancellation date? Another one, similar to the free trials, I put reminders on my calendar before an annual subscription renews. This gives me a chance to review it and decide, did I use it enough this past year or should I cancel it? So for me, some examples are apps on my phone. I have New York Times games, so if I don't play any games in the last year, I'm not gonna wanna renew it. I also have a subscription to a dance app, which is where I do some of my cardio. Now I go months at a time with using it a lot, and then I go months without touching it. So by the time the next renewal comes around, I'm gonna be reminded to take a look and say, hey, Lissa, did you dance enough this past year? Or do you still wanna pay another $200 for this app? Or should you cancel it? This work of putting calendar reminders in your calendar might sound tedious, but at least for me, it has helped me stop spending on things that I don't want or don't use, and it saves me the time of trying to get a refund if I do get charged for something when I didn't even want to renew it. All right, that's the list. You don't have to take all of these and do all of them. I just wanted to share with you what has helped me. I am constantly trying to find hacks and ways that I can improve my finances by building habits, especially ones that just work automatically and utilize little energy. To summarize, the 5 money habits I talked about in this video are: number 1, pay yourself first. Number 2, spend with intention. Number 3, review your subscriptions. Number 4, declutter regularly. And number 5, set calendar reminders or pick some kind of way that'll remind you to track anything that might impact your finances. All right, I hope you can incorporate some of these to accelerate your wealth building. Until next time, peace out.